Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Wine Investigators. Tonight we are talking about international white grape variety, Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc's spiritual homeland is in France, in the Loire Valley and in Bordeaux, but has been produced with great success in New Zealand and also parts of California. What I love about Sauvignon Blanc is its bracing acidity and wonderful characteristic aromas. The taste and composition of Sauvignon Blanc based wines varies widely as you go from the Loire all the way to the bracingly acidic and slightly sweet styles of Marlborough in New Zealand. But it always has that wonderful acid punch. It always has those wonderful, charming aromatics. Remember the first time I tasted a gooseberry, and this was long after I had a passion for Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc in particular, and was shocked to discover that it is a perfect descriptor. It really does taste like gooseberries in Marlborough. In terms of style, if you're thinking about white Bordeaux, the Sauvignon Blanc is often blended with Semillon, which gives it roundness and creaminess. But there are some wines that are 100% Sauvignon Blanc. Those do tend to have greater ageability. One thinks of the Pavillon de Chateau Margaux, which has good aging potential, even though it is Sauvignon Blanc based. In general, New Zealand and New World, Sauvignon Blanc is not meant to be aged. I'm sure there are outliers, but I have not tasted them yet. In the New World, it's all about the freshness, the little note of sweetness, balanced by the acidity. In France, getting back to white Bordeaux, Pézocléon and Entre-deux-Mers, it's much more about finesse. Wood is sometimes used, and it's just a different animal, as is the Sauvignon Blanc of the Loire. Very soil-driven, especially in Sancerre, with its three distinct soils, the Kimmeridgian, the Oxfordian, and the Silex. And of course, Silex being the soil that Didier Dagueneau, was an incredible Loire winemaker in Pouilly-Fumé, named one of his bottlings after. And they all have a different character. Silex is flinty. The Kimmeridgian chalk is give a creamier effect, and then the Oxfordian granite is a whole different animal as well, and those kind of run in bands all throughout that part of the Loire. And of course, if you're thinking about California, you naturally think of Robert Mondavi, who saw that Americans were chary of Sauvignon Blanc because it was mostly used to produce sweet crap, and decided to relabel his Sauvignon Blanc Fumé Blanc, a play on Pouilly-Fumé, of course, which gave it a foreign-sounding cachet. And it did tend to be stylistically more oaked, although that was not his original intention. The intention was to produce a fine Sauvignon Blanc in California that would have, the seriousness behind it that a white Bordeaux has. So, it can definitely get confusing. It varies stylistically a great deal internationally. But you do kind of always know when you're drinking a Sauvignon Blanc. This one in particular was fun. This is a Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough called Twin Islands. And what I was really struck by when I picked this up a couple of days ago is that, while it has a lemony acidity, it has the brightness, I'm sure you could argue it has a bit of gooseberry. It's not your typical Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, and certainly not, you wouldn't mistake it for Pouilly-Fumé either. Let me give this a little swirl here. You're getting a real kind of creaminess on the nose, almost like cheese rinds. And what really strikes me about this wine is, of course, it's acidic, it's bright, there is a little sweetness. What really gets me about it is the tropical fruit aspect, which is not something you consistently think of as a Marlborough characteristic. And this tastes like mango, like breadfruit, like banana. It has a real creaminess to it, even though it is just 100% Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon are genetically fairly close, so it's not altogether surprising that you could kind of get a suggestion of Semillon without it actually being part of the cépage. But I just found this wine to be absolutely different and delicious, and while it still has the punch in the face acidity, it also has this tropical character and a creaminess and sort of a gentleness on the palate almost in spite of the acidity. So that's a little bit on Sauvignon Blanc, and Shiraz/Syrah will be our next lesson. Have a great night.